Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about an Alexander Pfister classic. We're going to be talking about Great Western Trail, and in this game you will be herding your cattle along the Great Western Trail. You'll be trying to get them to Kansas City, where you'll ship them off to different towns, hoping to get enough victory points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video I'm going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, of telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Great Western Trail is still worth your time and bother. Was it 2015? I can't believe this game is 2016. It's fucking 8 years old. So remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel with the like button or YouTube bullshit. See you after this. Bollocks. So Great Western Trail is an action selection game. You will be moving your dude around the board, taking different actions, and eventually you'll get to Kansas City, where you will sell your cattle to different towns via railroad. Yeah, so each player is going to get a player board with some discs on it. Taking these discs off of the board to reveal different bonuses and maybe different actions, and each player is going to get a hand of cattle cards. You see that there's different categories of cattle. Each cow has got a colour and each cow has got a number. The higher the number, the more valuable the moo cow. Yeah, so in phase A you'll be able to move your bloke or bloquette up to 3 spaces. A space is considered to be a piece of cardboard. You've either got an action tile, you might have some hazards like floods or desert or rockfall, or you might want to trade with the Native Americans. Yeah, you come across a hand symbol on the card, then you'll either have to pay the bank if it's a private tile that belongs to another player, and you'll pay player a bit of money. Right, once you have come to a standstill, then you will take the action that's associated with that tile. Yeah, if it's your own tile, then you could take the action on that tile, or if it's a neutral tile, do that as well. But if it's a private tile of another player, then you can't take the action that's on the tile. You have to do an auxiliary actions. Auxiliary actions are the actions on the left side of your player board. At the beginning of the game you only be able to take one of these, but if you manage to get some discs off of your auxiliary actions, then this will unlock double auxiliary actions and even more auxiliary actions. I fucking love auxiliary actions. Basically, auxiliary actions will give you a massive boner. So some of the action tiles that you can use are, you might want to discard exactly one Guernsey cattle card and gain $2. Then you'll be able to perform the action, hire one worker paying the actual cost, and you'll be able to perform the action, hire one worker paying $2 more. If you want to hire a worker, you'll look across at the really boring spreadsheet with those ugly mug faces on it. You'll choose one of the workers and you will pay the cost and you'll put it on your player board. You've got 3 different types of workers. You've got cowboys that will help you buy more and better cows. You've got engineers that will help you move your little choo-choo train along the choo-choo track. And then you've got craftsmen or women or craftspeople that will help you build more buildings, aka action tiles. Yeah, so you might want to either move your certificate marker 1 space forward or gain 1 objective card from the general objective display. Certificates are used when you get to Kansas. They basically give you extra money, and eventually when you get to Kansas City you will refresh the workers spreadsheet, and then you will reveal your hand of cows. You'll remove any duplicates, and then you'll add up the value of your cows and you'll get that much money, right? And dependent on the value of the cows, you'll be able to ship these moo cows off to that city. So if you had a value of 13, you'll look at the choo-choo track and you'll be able to flog them to any city with a value of 13 or less. You'll take one of your discs, you'll plonk it on the town, and if you get one, put it next to another disc of yours, you'll get the bonus or the penalty that is on the board. Yeah, there's also train stations that you can get to. Go into the sidings, you can choose to upgrade the station. You'll take an ability, might be an extra certificate, or it might be some money or something like that. So keep doing this. Every time you refill up the worker spreadsheet, the little cross disc will move down 1 space, and when it drops off the board, everyone will have 1 more turn. Then you'll add up all your victory points based on the scoring criteria that I'm not going to go into because it's boring as fuck, and the player with the most points will be the winner of Great Western Trail. So what do we like Great Western Trail? So the first thing that we really like about this game is the fact that you get to choose your actions. Yeah, you get to choose which action tile you put out on the board, because at the beginning of the game there is a sparse collection of neutral tiles. Yeah, it's like going to a Breatharian's buffet. There's only 1 space where you can build buildings. That always causes a bit of frustration, but the fact you've got 9 different buildings in front of you and you can upgrade existing buildings to make it even cheaper means that effectively if the action that you need isn't on the board, then it is your fault. Yeah, because you could have built it. So the game gives you a wealth of different options, and there is a sense of progression when you're building these buildings, right? So that's good. So the second thing we like about Great Western Trail, and it relates to the building of buildings thing that I said a minute ago, and that's that when you put a tile out of the board, you've got to think carefully about where you're going to put it. You've got to put it in a place that's going to benefit you, because some of the tiles allow you to move your cowboy a few spaces forward, so therefore you can chain actions together, but also you can put it in spaces where it's going to cripple the movement capabilities of other players, yeah? Where you can only move 3 spaces at the beginning of the game. If you plonk a couple of tiles in somebody else's path, then they're going to have to wade through your shit before they can get to where they want to be, and that will slow them down. It might even force them to go through the floods or even through that bleeding desert, yeah? So not only can you choose which actions you put down, but where you put them is also a juicy choice. So the final thing that we really like about Great Western Trail is a rare example of a highly thematic Euro game, yeah? Usually games of this ilk don't have any theme at all. It's like pasted on, if you think about Castles of Burgundy, some geezer looking out of his window onto nothing really. This game actually makes a lot of sense, yeah? You're going to be getting cattle, you're going to be herding them through the landscape, taking different actions, and eventually you're going to get to Kansas where you're going to flog them, yeah? So there's a linear style to this game. It makes sense. You're going from point A to point B and doing shit in between, yeah? It's not just some random bullshit. So Mr. Pfister has thought carefully about how this game is going to work, how we can translate the theme into mechanisms, or perhaps vice versa. So what don't we like about Great Western Trail? So the first thing I don't like about it, this game represents painfully slow progress, especially at the beginning of the game. You're going to be tearing your fucking hair out thinking, I can't do anything. That the fact that you've only got one space where you could build shit means that actions at the beginning of the game are going to be coming in very, very thin on the ground, yeah? And your deck is going to be comprised of shit cows, yeah? It's going to be very difficult to, A, get the cowboys that you need to get some decent cows into your hand quickly, and then you're going to be cycling through the fucking deck, cursing your luck when that one value cow comes out of your hand, yeah? And you don't really know when your big juicy rump steak is going to make an appearance so that you can get those lucrative bonuses through the railway track. There are a few ways to mitigate that. You can discard your cards. There's one way, I think, of discarding cards permanently out of the game, but still it feels as if you are wading through a fucking quagmire at the beginning of this game, yeah? So the second thing we don't like about Great Western Trail is that the hazards and the Native American track can get blocked up really quickly. I've always scratched my head and thinking, why the fuck is it there? Every round you're going to be putting either a TP out or a hazard out, and they're going to stack up real quick, and people just aren't going to bother going down that route. It should have been a shortcut, but there's no real incentive to take a hazard tile or a Native American tile unless A, it's worth a load of money, or B, you just happen to have an objective card. And if no one's got that on their objective, then no one's going to take it, and that route stays blocked, yeah? So it's a bit of a conundrum as to why it's in here. So the final thing we don't like about Great Western Trail is that the deck building element is kind of weak, yeah? Like we've already said, it takes ages to cycle through your deck, and there's not really much going on with it, is there? There's not really any action cards you can bung in there, and it's just going to be a load of cows, really. I know you can put an objective card in there, and then you've got the option to play it or keep it in your hand for final scoring to avoid the penalty if you don't manage to fulfill it. But it would have been nice if there could have been some other stuff bunged into the deck, maybe something that allows you to cycle through the deck quicker, because that's the main bugbear with this. And if you're unlucky just to have all those shit cows come at once and you're pushed into Kansas, then you're going to end up having to go to Kansas City and taking the -6 victory points, yeah? And that is a real bummer. So sometimes there are cul-de-sac options. You can only drive in one way, and you know full well you're going to be fucking driving out the other way, don't you? So to summarise, is Great Western Trail still worth your time and bother 8 years after it was first released? So we're going to say maybe, maybe not. Great Western Trail seems simple enough. Move your bloke and take the action. But the problem comes with not being able to do what you want to do when you need to do it, resulting in action deference, right? And this means that the game moves at a snail's pace until its third and final act. Having said that, the fact that you can choose exactly what actions you need and hurt your opponents in the process adds a much needed player interaction, salvages the game from the pit of soulless Euro. So there you go. That is Great Western Trail. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel with the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you next time.